For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Charles Handigraf along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. Troy Macker from Bet Rivers with us a little bit later on this hour. The field of 68 is set. All of your championship week stuff concluded yesterday. We had a playoff at the Players Championship at Sawgrass. LSU baseball sweeps over the weekend. So does softball. So we got some stuff to get to. The women's tournament field also set. LSU a 3 seed as expected. They will host first round games at the Maravich Center. And then we'll be in the Spokane regional. So a little bit of travel for the ladies. Not the cozy little spot in Birmingham if they had been on the other side of the bracket, but that's just how that goes. They will play San Diego State in their first game. Florida State and George Mason, the other two schools that are coming to Baton Rouge. Jimmy, how was your weekend?
Oh, good, man. Good. Could always been better if certain teams.
Well, yeah.
It was certain teams held on. But. Man, rough with the weather Saturday, but beautiful day yesterday, and big turnout for the St. Patrick's Day festivities on a Sunday. Know how that was going to be affected. It was minimal, and good, man. Some a lot of fun over here at the Queen. We had walk-ons week last week at the Queen this past weekend, and looking forward to their great promotion that they've got going on, giving away a lot of free play in conjunction with the basketball games. So, and we're getting ready, just a couple of days away from going down to the coast. So we'll be on the coast for this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But here, the Queen today, kind of bridging the gap between Championship Week and March Madness over here at my favorite sports bar, sports book, which I have logged enough. I've looked plenty of time over here. It's great. And Tommy and Cliff and all of them, great. Scotty, great with the TVs, man, and capturing all the other. Thursday was nuts. Over here, man. It was a lot of fun.
No YouTube today because we are inside of the gaming area, but we'll have that back tomorrow. So what stood out at Florida winning the SEC tournament? They are in some places now a co-favorite or wedged in between Duke and Auburn in some spots. You beat Missouri, a dominant win against Alabama on Saturday, and then a very good win against Tennessee. They take 2 out of 3 from Tennessee in the season series. And right now the Gators, I think, about the hottest team going right now. I don't feel as good about Duke as I did a week ago. I know Flagg's going to play, but is he going to be compromised? So the Gators, the flavor of the day right now.
They're the best team, and here at the Queen, the DraftKings Sportsbook, they're third choice still, but it's almost like it's tri-favorites. Duke and Auburn co-favorites here at the Queen, plus 350. Florida right behind it, plus 380 to win it all. Florida probably got the most respected number 2 seed. St. John's, would you say?
Absolutely. When I was filling out this, Brad, I told you this before the show started, just kind of filling it out for fun before I get real. Just first, I do this every year, a first impression fill out of the bracket before I really dive into it. And I thought that prior to the Final Four, the best matchup I saw on paper was Florida against St. John's in the West Regional Finals. That was the best matchup that I could come up with prior to the Final Four.
Well, Florida has, and we said this a little bit earlier, so it wasn't just this run through the tournament, but they get size, they've got athleticism, they have skill, and they have depth. They just don't have a coach that's been there. And he's 0-2 in NCAA tournament play. He at San Francisco, he lost the overtime game to Mac McMahon and John Morant in Murray State. And last year, lost in the first round in his only appearance. They've got too much firepower to kind of – they don't appear like they're a team that goes into scoring droughts, the concerns like a Tennessee, like a St. John's, like a Houston, like a Texas A&M. They're big and athletic and they're skilled. It's just they've got it all and they're deep as hell. And so they can play, they can bang with you if that's what it calls. They can run with you if that's what it calls for. So they finish, and some of their bigs, like Condon, is not most physically imposing looking. Damn it, he's physical, man. All them guys get after it. They did have Condon and the other kid down low that were hurt at a little stretch. But when they went into Auburn, they just singled Janai Broome. They didn't get off of the perimeter shooters. And so they could play every way it is. And they're kind. Now, Nelson went out. They held him out for precautionary reasons the second half of the Bama game. But, with or without Nelson, I mean, they slammed there. And Tennessee played hard. Tennessee didn't. They're not going to back down. It's just they don't have that. They don't have the firepower that these guys do. So it was, just a. And I don't think Auburn, who's lost 3 and 4, have you ever had the number 1 overall seed in a tournament coming in losing 3 or 4? Probably not.
No, it's very unusual.
I mean, but they had such a big lead. But Florida, clearly the best team. Clearly.
Right now they are absolutely playing the best.
Yeah.
And they've played, I would say, one bad game all year. The 64-44 loss in Knoxville, they did not play well.
I got a couple others.
Well, the other games that they lost, put it this way, of the 4 losses, okay, they lost that shootout to Kentucky in the SEC opener. That was 106-100. I didn't think they played badly that day. They lost a game at Georgia where I thought Georgia kind of played over their heads, especially in the second half of that game. If you remember, that one was 88-83. It's the last game they lost. It was towards the end of February.
That's one of mine.
I think that was not a great game for them, but I thought Florida.
Georgia was shooting 67% 5 minutes into the second half. You're not giving the effort on the defensive end.
Then
so they've gone through these sloppy spots. For them to be losing for 39 and a half minutes at Columbia, South Carolina, they're not putting out the best effort there. So you had sort of these sloppy mentally, these lack of focus. Hey, it's a long grind in this conference this year, but those 3 games were bad.
I'll give you the South Carolina game. I think you're right there. The point is, it's been few and far between the bad. But
they've had those, and Auburn didn't. Auburn exhaled at the end. They had their one in A&M. I mean, the Alabama game, your boy gets thrown out, and it was in overtime.
Yeah.
So it was a tough loss. And in Tennessee's, but those are clearly weaker teams that they were not all dialed in, focused, and now they tried to come back in the last 15 minutes in Athens, but too little, too late. In Columbia, they did. The only time they led when they took the lead with just seconds to go. Yeah. And I mean, and I know teams are struggling, but you think Florida dialed in right now goes to Columbia, South Carolina.
No.
They will beat them by 25-30.
South Carolina played really well at home, and it was obviously an exhale spot for not just for Auburn. Struggled there too. I think Auburn won by 3 in Columbia, so it was an exhale spot for them. Bit too.
It was. They were down like 9 or 10. They kind of scrambled late. Now they still had a shot to tie it, but it was a real odd last 30 seconds that kind of scrambled them into it. The one in South Carolina, that was a snow day. It was the next day. And so here in Baton Rouge, it was a midweek game. I watched every second of it, and it was not there. So you have these sloppy performances where, and I'm sorry, you can't be I don't care, the Harlem Globetrotters. You don't give up 67% shooting for 25 minutes of a game. But they got it dialed in now, brother. I mean, they are popping teams.
They're not likely to face anything harder on a weekend in the NCAA tournament than Alabama, Tennessee back to back. That's about as tough as it gets. Okay, if Alabama and Tennessee end up in the Final Four, it's not going to come as a galloping shock to anybody. So they just proved, and you throw in the win against Missouri, which was a good win on Friday night. They won that one by double digits too. They're very capable of winning this thing. Something else, fooling around with the bracket this morning, just kind of filling things out, scratching things out, going there. I found it very hard to fill out a bracket that didn't have at least two teams from the SEC in the Final Four. Maybe it won't end up that way, but man, 14 teams in the tournament, not without a little bit of controversy. North Carolina gets in with one Q1 win all season. Committee chair, AD, at North Carolina.
What about the dog and pony show with the I'm recluse, and then the other guy sitting there answering the question? Like,
can I be completely honest? I didn't watch it live. I was watching the golf, so I didn't hear the interview with them. Have
you ever seen a chairman bring up a co-chair, or another committee member to answer the questions when it involves his team?
No, but I've never seen the committee chair have the last team in either.
The technique, okay, reeked a little guilt. Why? So, why do you have quads?
That's the metric that they chose to use.
1 in 12. So why have it?
Right.
Why have it if you're not going to use it? Okay.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
North Carolina brings more eyeballs to the state. If they're going to be close, they're going to put them in.
Right. The top seed, the top NET team to be left out, Boise State, in the 40s. They were behind North Carolina. They've got 4 Q1 wins. It's not any murder's row or anything like that. They were 23-10. That's why these arguments, by the time these games tip off, we'll have forgotten who the last team in was most of the time. If Boise State lost 10 times this year, okay? There are any number of games that you could have gotten yourself into. It's not like you didn't have any margin for error. It's not like the football playoff. So,
you could, if anything, dialing it back to 64 got a little juice this weekend. All those teams in the bubble. They did more than enough not to get in, and they did to get in.
And you know what? You're right. And they're not going to go back to 64. They're more likely to go to 78.
They don't go backwards.
No, they're not sacrificing.
They're not going to decrease content.
Yeah, the St. John's Florida game that could end up in the regional final. But before that, you could have Calipari against Pitino in the second game if Arkansas is able to beat
Pitino
Kansas.
Goes back to Providence.
Patino going back to Providence. Will Wade going back to his alma mater at Clemson. McNeese gets in.
That just stood out at me. We visited Clemson. My old roommate, my boy Truck, no longer with us. That's where he met. Being on the administration over at Clemson. So it's Willie. Yeah, boom. Willie Wade. When he was going. Remember when he got hired? We asked Oliver Purnell.
Yeah.
He said, man, we gave him stuff to do. He finished it. He came back. What else you got for me? What else you got for him? What else you got for me? So he just real hunger and just I think they will have a less of a deer in the headlights effect when Gonzaga kind of put it on. Now, it was a poor matchup for Gonzaga, for McNeese as well, because they had such a size deficiency. Mm-hmm. And isn't that funny? Last year's sort of Cinderella pick or underdog public dog, McNeese. McNeese was a popular pick in brackets and and also the individual game spread. But this year, it's already going down. Opened up 4.5. It's at 2.5. The Tritons.
UC
San Diego.
Against Michigan, who won the Big Ten tournament.
You think that's going to be a size disadvantage?
I would imagine.
2 7-footers against this team. So, team that turns it over, and I mean, Maryland. Why? I mean, Maryland, the highest scoring starting 5 in all of college basketball. They've had the most. So why? Maybe not much of a bench, but what was that? 5 seconds coast to coast layup?
I know.
Huh? That is as bad as a man. That is memorably bad. I'll remember that one for years and years and years. How bad that defense is. So and then Whiskey's got about 12 middle of the second half, and they blow that too. So Michigan just kind of, a big feather in the cap for Dusty May. They've been limp. They're kind of limping down the stretch. Been more than fortunate in some of the close games, but to hang a banner. How ironic is that? Hang a banner in Chrysler where they force them to take down the banners and put them in the library, huh?
Yeah,
or storage or whatever.
Put them in storage. Only one that, unless this has changed since I checked it early this morning, only one lower seed is a favorite in the tournament. That is Colorado State, a 12 seed against Memphis because of
Tyrese Hunter.
Tyrese Hunter. Did he say anything officially?
He's doubtful. Just putting all of the information together, I would list him as doubtful.
Yeah, their third leading scorer and pretty much their close second leading scorer. So that kind of explains why the higher seed is the underdog there. Everywhere else, unless this has changed in the last hour or so, the higher seeded team is the favorite.
We may have some play-in teams that are favored over the sixes.
Oh, you mean once they once they get in? Okay. Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, usually we have a few more, Charlie.
Yeah, those 12-5 sometimes you'll see that happen, but just one so far.
Not even the 8-9s, huh?
Yeah.
So,
just one.
That's light. That's light.
Yeah. We're here at the Queen Casino, where great place to come watch the games, man. Thursday, Friday, all weekend, really.
We won't be here, but this is the place to be, man. They are so good. They'll have it on. They do a great job in the bar. You got the video poker bar soon, and they're doing a lot of promotions for free play. So make sure that you get a player's card. It takes you 2 seconds to get that, and then if you play some of the games or some of the tables, make sure you put it down and you get some gifts. Great, best view of the Mississippi River at the 1717 restaurant. So buku TVs in there as well. So whether it's in the restaurant, whether you're here in the sports book, and man, we got plenty of kiosks, over 20 kiosks that are available over here. Come on by, man. Thursday and Friday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the opening round of March Madness. And, we got more than enough TVs. We'll have the women's games on as well. When do they get underway, Charlie?
Friday.
Friday?
No. Oh, you mean the LSU women or just the tournament in general?
The tournament?
Friday.
So
the women play Saturday. They play the second game.
Okay.
The LSU women
So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
Yeah.
Tournament, first round?
Yeah, let me make sure I'm telling.
Don't they start usually ahead?
They used to start
like tomorrow.
Well, they've got their playing games as well that start on Wednesday.
Okay.
And then Thursday they got the other two playing games, and then Friday they start for real.
All right, my favorite sports book, yes indeed, man. They do a great job. A home away from home. The DraftKings Sportsbook here at the Queen Casino downtown.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, LouisianaSports.net, 1045ESPN.com. New Handycast with me, Dan Canterbury, Doug Thompson on LSU Baseball coming your way on YouTube later this afternoon. LSU turns down a bid to the NIT, as did South Carolina. Both of those schools would have gotten automatic bids as being the top two teams in the SEC that did not go to the NCAA tournament. So 14 teams in a record. The last 2 teams in from the SEC could have gone to the NIT. Both of them chose not to go. When LSU did this, the Ben Simmons team, I was really aggravated.
What year was that?
16. Really aggravated and thought, you're just not trying to grow the program. You're not – basically the guys quit on them that year, and I thought it was kind of embarrassing. I have no desire to watch this team play again, and I don't think they have any desire to play based on, what we've seen here recently. So I'm a little ambivalent towards the NIT thing. If they had played and lost a game like they did last year to North Texas, I don't even know how many guys off of this team are going to be back next year. This is a lot different environment than what we had, for the Simmons team. What I can tell you is that we've got a 3-year now finished results of what teams in the SEC have done since Matt McMahon was hired, and LSU is 14th out of 14. I didn't throw Oklahoma and Texas in because only one season, although they finished behind both of them too. LSU over the last 3 years is 14-40 in conference play. That's 5 games worse than 13th place, which goes to South Carolina. They haven't made the NCAA tournament, obviously, in any of those years. They were 9-9 in conference play a season ago. Keep in mind that South Carolina, Missouri went 0-18 in the league last year, and they're still 7 games ahead of LSU in this 3-year rolling average. Iona today fired Tobin Anderson. Tobin Anderson had basically a 500 record. They were 17-17 this year. They were 33-34 in his 2 seasons at Iona, and Iona decided that wasn't.
What was
their
conference record?
17. They were 10-10 in league play this year.
Well,
500.
If Mac McMahon, if our Rick Pitino here, he might be fired today too.
Okay, yeah, but I realize who he's following there, but
Iona has a higher standard to win basketball games than LSU. There it is.
Apparently,
the data is right there,
right there in front of you. We've been through all of this with him and the fundraising and the NIL side, and now it's just show me. But I think we're not speaking out of school here when you say that there were a lot of places that this record over 3 years gets you fired. And I would say in the power conferences, more places this record gets you fired than doesn't. It didn't here, contract NIL, whatever you want to say. Next year's year 0. And you've got the tough part, Jimmy, is if you go 3-15 again, the decision is made for you. It's very, very easy. Probably doesn't even make it through the regular season. If you go 12-6 or something like that, and you make the tournament, you win a game, okay, well then fine, you can stay. What if he goes 6-12 next year, ekes into the tournament and gets pounded in the first round? Then what do you do?
This year, 6-12, getting the tournaments, Charlie, also required some real strong non-conference wins along the way,
and a historically strong.
Yeah. And everything fell everything just fell just right. I mean,
okay, bump it up against 7-11.
It's almost mathematically impossible.
Yes,
it really is
for
what we just saw.
Okay, then bump it up a game and say 7-11, and you eke into the tournament.
No, shouldn't be. It should be wrong. What other sport do they roll this back on campus?
None of the major sports.
So why basketball?
We've been asking that question for a while. I have no good answer for
So everybody else is up to snuff on, but why give them a 7-year deal?
We've asked all these questions, and we don't. I mean, I know what the answer is to that. I don't like it. It was, because all the players were gone. Okay, well, that's a dated concept now because in this era of transfer portal, you can turn your entire roster over. You don't even
everybody's roster is turned over.
You don't even have
to
change coaches to do it. Okay,
364 teams have pretty much 70 to 90%, sometimes 100% turnover.
Vandy brought 1 guy back, and Missouri brought 3. That's it. And both of those teams had major turnarounds this year. So if that was valid in 2021 when they hired him, 2022 when they hired him, it no longer is, okay? So are you keeping him around because you don't want to eat the contract, which is what I think it is. But the record does not justify it. We see other examples.
I've been on his turd sandwich for a long time, okay? because I could see it coming. You know, did I know exactly 3-15 or 3-16? No. But, man, you know, where everybody else with less history, with less tradition. And it's funny, I'm getting a little feedback around town, like maybe the finality, maybe, you know, losing by 29 to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Which was tied a record margin of victory for State in the SEC tournament. Maybe that's fine, you know, now, but there's no doubt we cared so much more 9 years ago than we do now. And how can you invest any type of emotion when your administration doesn't care? I mean, what other? And so my point is, all right, if women's tennis back in the day it was the only SEC program that didn't have an indoor facility, okay? So if you visited any other school in that time frame, wait, y'all don't. If they knew you visited LSU, they had the upper hand. So if they were, you know, if you underperforming to this type of level, or this low point, well, we got to wait. We're going to build a facility, something like that. This is your second most profitable sport on campus. It warrants at least second. If it's okay, LSU baseball is a monster. All right, it's, you know, it's not that far down the pecking order. That's the way it's being treated. It just doesn't make any damn sense.
Did you hear anything?
Nobody rolls it. There ain't another sport on this campus right now that they roll this back.
No. Did you hear anything in the offseason about, hey, you know, Beth Torina, the softball coach, you know, it's kind of gotten a little bit stagnant.
Please.
No, I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make a point here.
Yeah.
That they haven't been to the World Series since 2017, okay? Saying, you know, does she have to – I actually got to ask this question. Does she have to win this year to carry? And my answer was no. Torina has won right at 70% of her games. They've been in the tournament every year. They were in a super regional last year.
Conference record?
Conference record, 56% winning percentage in conference. It is by no means a fireable record. It's just they haven't had the postseason success that they wanted, and then they're ranked in the top 5 again this year. But I was like, no, she's not in any trouble. But the mere fact that question was asked in some circles, for her with that record, well, why does this record get to go? When the football team, look, you saw them jump to attention in November. Hey, man, we got to go raise some money. Right after they lost Underwood, we got to go raise some money. The baseball team, Ole Miss wins the national championship. Mississippi State wins the national championship. Go get me some NIL money. Go get me Skeens. Go get me White. We're going to win this thing. Everywhere else. But men's basketball, for whatever reason, is the forgotten program. We'll see if it changes.
It wasn't always like that.
No, it was not. No, it was not. And it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't.
No. This is an administrative issue, you know. And I mean, what do you think the crowd's going to be like next year?
It depends on what kind of team they bring in. I mean, if you bring in 4 or 5 high-profile transfers and you think you got a shot, then you'll draw some people. But
what's the chances of that?
I don't know. I really don't.
Nobody's coming here. The coach is about to get fired. He should have gotten fired. He might get fired 10 games in next year.
Those guys don't care about that if the money's right. If the money's higher, they'll come and they'll say, look, he's getting fired next year, but I ain't going to be here but for a year anyway.
Okay, so you said you're going to be like 10th or 11th in money next year.
Yeah, probably be 10th or 11th in the standings too.
Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Bonham-Donald, Mariana Broussard-Hayes, Adrian Reese-Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie, and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
All right, let's Troy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I mean, it's that time of year. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the bracket and figure out what I want to do, what I want to project over the next 3 weeks. But, gosh, I love this time of year.
Any significant line movements since posting the lines last night?
Not many. Some here or there. Purdue has dropped a point. Wisconsin was 16.5. They're now 17.5. Some of the early games on Thursday, Louisville was, -2. Now they're -3. But nothing really too significant. I think there was one over/under that has dropped 2 points. I actually think it was the Mount St. Mary's American game, which is one of the playing games, has dropped 2 points. So if you stay on top of it over the next 12 to 24 hours, I think you can be able to get a little bit of value there. But there haven't been a ton of injuries that are lingering. Obviously, Cooper Flagg is the big one, but there's not a lot of day-to-day injuries that could really impact the line in the first-round game.
Yes, the biggest one is with Memphis and Tyrese Hunter, and we talked about it earlier in our opening, how that is the only – we usually see a sprinkle of them, the lower seeds are favored over the higher seeds. That's the only one where red-hot Colorado State, and they just stormed through the Mountain West Conference. Those games were not competitive. 12-seed favored over Memphis, 29-5.
Yeah, and the Mountain West Conference is one of the tougher conferences in the country. I mean, their 1 through 6 typically are all neck and neck. And I wonder if people are devaluing Memphis. I mean, this is a team that obviously their conference is not great, but they have an All-American in Haggerty. They've won basically every game they've played in conference play. I was high on them entering the tournament last year. I think they could make some noise, but Colorado State has been really good. Nico Medved will be up for a major position next year. I've heard, some scuttlebutt about him to Minnesota where there's an opening. So, I think that's a very tantalizing first-round game. There are a litany of really interesting games. I think when you look back at conference tournament week, so many of the top 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds played in the semifinals and in the finals. So for a lot of these mid and low majors, we are getting the best teams for those conferences. Sometimes you get like a 6 seed or an 8 seed win a conference tournament, and that really shifts up the seed lines. Power conference teams are playing the best of the best from the mid majors. So I think that's what, when you look at this schedule, there are a lot of really, really fun, tantalizing matchups that I can't pick one way or the other because I've watched a lot of these mid majors and low majors, and they're good.
I'm looking at a chart, and, for our podcast on Bet Rivers, we were doing it earlier today, and it moved St. Mary's from 4.5 to 3.5. I saw some places it actually opened up as high as 5.5, but Vanderbilt getting a little bit of love there against St. Mary's. Recency bias, St. Mary's looking so bad in that West Coast Conference final against Gonzaga?
Yeah, I think so. They also lost to Grand Canyon last year in the tournament, although Grand Canyon's team last year was very, very good. But for most of January and February, St. Mary's was far and away the best team in the West Coast Conference. They were better than Gonzaga. The problem is they lost their last 2 matchups to Gonzaga. I have a real issue with where St. Mary's was placed. I do not see them as a 7 seed. They were ranked in the top 15 in the country. Certainly their strength of schedule, they don't get the same amount of quad 1 wins or quad 1 games as the Vanderbilt, but I think the West Coast Conference was much improved this year with the additions of Washington State and Oregon State, even though to the middle of the field, so to speak. I see this team quality-wise as more of a 4 or 5 seed, but like you mentioned, they did not play their best basketball the last 2 weeks, and for a lot of these teams, you really need to be hitting your stride, and what you do in the conference tournament can dictate how you play. And Vanderbilt has been nothing but just a tough out in every single game they've played in the SEC. They've been one of the more impressive teams you didn't think about paying attention to this year.
Speaking of Grand Canyon, they open up against Maryland, about 10.5, 11.5, the spread there. Speaking of Maryland, semifinal. Troy, you ever play ball? Stop ball. Stop ball. Stop ball. Stop ball. Huh? Coast to coast, 5 seconds for a layup? Huh?
It was infuriating. Now, I'm from Maryland, live in Maryland. I'm not a Maryland fan. I actually dislike Maryland as the basketball team very much, but I like this team. I like their players. I do like their coach. watching that game was infuriating. Their interior defense was a fifth. It was so porous. They have 2 6'10" big men. One is going to be a lottery pick. They were both dominating on offense, and in the second half, they allowed everything. Now, granted, Michigan does have, a big presence inside, but obviously that last play was not a big guy. They drove the entire court. That is a big concern, is the lack of interior defense. And when you only play 5 guys, maybe 6 guys, Jordan Geronimo has been playing better, you get tired on defense later in games. And if this game is tight, Grand Canyon has a crazy tempo. They play just as fast as Maryland. They play about 7 or 8 guys. If Maryland is tired and the game is tight, that's when you can just go right at them. There's going to be no resistance. So, Maryland has played in nothing but close games. When they lose, they all 8 of their losses are by 6 or less points. 4 of their 8 losses came literally at the buzzer. I really like this Maryland team, but they get a really, really, really tough opponent in Grand Canyon that's made 4 of the last 5 tournaments and 1 last year.
Speaking of Michigan, they steal that one from Maryland, and then they steal another one yesterday, and down double digits midway through the second half. Boy, Tanji, Charlie, the Colorado State transfer, I mean, he was like 0 for 9. I mean, and they still opened up a second half lead by 12, but couldn't hold on. Dusty May, in his first year in Ann Arbor, his alma mater, Indiana came at him a little bit, and Michigan locked him up for even more. So now, after winning the Big Ten title, clearly the second best league in all of, it's not even close, second best conference, they're playing UC San Diego, the lovable Tritons with the number 1 ATS record in all of college basketball. And maybe because it's going to start about 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Time, maybe something to UC San Diego. Maybe because Michigan had to play, was it 3 or 4 games, Thursday through Sunday. Maybe it's, they create a lot of turnovers, but there would be a little bit of a size disparity here. I mean, Wolf is the point forward. He's 7 feet. Golden is 7 feet. I mean, it's going to be try and create some turnovers before they get you in the corner in the ring, because when they shorten the ring on you, when this is half court, it's big-time advantage Michigan. Your thoughts on this really intriguing matchup?
This is another thing I hated that the committee did. And listen, I've been out on Michigan now. They proved me horribly wrong the last 3 days, but they win 3 straight quad 1 games in the second best conference in the country in 3 days. And their reward for that is, like you mentioned, to play one of the best mid-majors in the country, best ATS team in the country. And it's not just they have to play them. They have to play them on the West Coast. They're playing them in, Portland or Seattle? So Michigan has to play, it's not going to be a true home court advantage, but it's going to be much closer for UC San Diego than Michigan. Now, UC San Diego played UC Irvine in the Big West title game. I stayed up until 2 a.m. on Saturday and watched that game. And a great game. And UC Irvine has a really good 7'2" center, Bent Lupton. He had 19 points. They were throwing doubles and triples at him, and they slowed him down as the game progressed. And what UC San Diego wants to do is get it and push the pace and force turnovers, and I think you can do that against Michigan. This is a very intriguing game. It's going to end up probably being our most wagered on game. Right now, it's the second most wagered on game. The VCU-BYU game is our most wagered on. The third most wagered on play of the first round is UC San Diego to cover. The 5th most wagered on play is Michigan to cover. So this is going to be
really
split money. I think it will. I think it will. Obviously, 5-12 game. This will lean towards the 12, but the public is going to be all over this one, and I think it's going to be one of the marquee 5-12 games of the first round.
That's unbelievable. Both sides are getting Denver, Colorado. It's in the mountains too. Look, we've seen teams make these runs in the conference tournament and continue, and we've seen some make it. The Syracuse Jerry McNamara. I don't know what year that was, Charlie, but they played like a gazillion overtimes against Syracuse. 2003.
Yeah.
It was. It's funny. I was at Truck's wedding that night in Lafayette, and we were watching that one. But and they got bounced the first round. But just last year, NC State had to win the tournament to get in, and they kept it going. I mean, of course, the Shabazz Napier is the biggest thing. They had to win that tournament to get
Walker.
in. No, the other one, Shabazz Napier. When they,
you're right.
Yeah, they had to win the tournament to probably get in. Of course, the most legendary one is NC State.
Yeah.
Back with Valvano. But
VCU
it could drain you. It could drain. VCU did.
They went all the way to Final Four. They played
VCU was like the last team, one of the last teams.
They played in the first four, and they went all the way to the Final
Yes.
Four. I don't remember what they did in their conference tournament that year, but they were in the first four.
Yeah, so they were in the first four. I love the first four. You're going to see that as soon as they post those, I'll get those. There's never been a first four winner that didn't win at least a game. Never been a year without at least one of those first four teams. I think it's a fact. Any other significant action that we're seeing?
Yeah, the other interesting one that we're seeing is, what is it? Clemson, McNeese State, I believe, and that's a 5-12 game.
Yes.
That's our most popular game by tickets. Clemson to win is the most popular play, which is a little interesting to me just because McNeese State is definitely one of those power mid-majors. They were in the tournament last year. They lost like 2 games. They lost like 6 games this year, 30 wins. Very, very good team. Will Wade is a great coach. Clemson is one of my dark horse picks to make the Final Four. I have a ticket on them at 30-1 from a couple months ago to make the Final Four. That is a weaker region. So I think, with Houston has a lot of defense, not a lot of offense. I think that the Midwest could be the region that gets the most shakeup. Kentucky at a 3. How confident are we that Kentucky can really make a run? They got a lot of heart, but they're really banged up. I think Clemson is a team that could potentially make a move. But they have to get past a really, really tough McNeese State. And it's just a little surprising to see this many early tickets on Clemson against a very, very tough 12 seed.
Charlie, what was McNeese State's conference record the past 2 years?
40-2.
Yep.
40-2.
Count the tournament.
40-2, man. Yes, indeed. I mean, they're a great program. This is their 4th trip to the NCAA tournament. 2 with Willie Wade. He's going to be gone. But it's his alma mater. Troy, Clemson. So he's started as a student manager. Dusty May started at Indiana as a student manager. Will Wade started as a student manager at Clemson. Follow Troy on Twitter. Troy, we're looking forward to this, man, all weekend long. And so keep up. We'll talk to you on Friday, right in the middle of March Madness.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Los Reyes Mexican. There's my routine. Come over here. And about an evening time, here on the way home, hit Los Reyes. Watch the rest of the games on the way home while I eat, good Mexican meal. Love the steak fajitas. Love the different tacos that they do. Always, always, always start with a side of fresh guacamole with fresh jalapenos as well. Margaritas are great, man. How about that happy hour, 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. If you got those tournaments going on in Little League Baseball, we're at less than 10 minutes away. Call ahead of time. We'll get the whole table ready for you for the whole team. At an outdoor patio dining around this time. Yes, indeed. You don't get that sticker shock when you get your bill as well. Go by and check them out. Tell them you heard it right here in 104.5. Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodeau store. It's time to get the yard and the garden flower beds into shape here in the spring. Right now on the website at ThibodeauStore.com, the Shots 4-Step Fertilizer and Lawn Service bags are on special right now. It's one simple program. You can save up to $90 on this if you're reseeding or fertilizing your grass. Also, your Shots Turf Builders are on special right now. Garden hoses, garden tools, wheelbarrows, all of them on special right now. Grass and weed control from Scott's also on special right now at the website at ThibodeauStore.com. A lot of these items are available for delivery, as is the Cajun Cooking specialty cookware shipped right to your door. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, and online it's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jamar Chase yesterday agreed to a 4-year, $161 million deal with the Bengals. It's the highest per-year average for a non-quarterback in NFL history. And then this morning it was announced that Derek Stingley signed a 3-year deal, a 3-year extension for $90 million. That's a top per-year average for any cornerback in NFL history. Just went by the deal that J.C. Horn signed last week. Total compensation for the 2019 LSU Tigers is well over $1 billion now. Just the contracts of Burrow, Chase, Jefferson, Stingley, Damian Lewis, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Patrick Queen. Just their extensions, $810 million. Just another stat for the 2019 team.
But that game in Tuscaloosa, and,
I didn't even do the Alabama guys.
Sertan's going to be. I mean, what some of those guys? I mean, those receivers.
Tua's deal is huge.
Yeah, it's going to be
probably $2 billion on the field.
But GM Joe, it's the right thing. You gonna have less of? I mean, that's not their
Chase.
needs.
Yes, Higgins is a tougher call, and they signed him too this weekend.
We're gonna talk about that.
Hour number 2, straight ahead here at the Queen 104.5 ESPN Bet. Queen 104.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at the Queen, the DraftKings Sportsbook. Play's going to be hopping as the NCAA tournament gets underway. First 4 games next 2 nights, and then Thursday the Open for real. Also have the women's games on. Their first 4 starts on Wednesday night. The LSU ladies will be playing late Saturday night. I don't think they were. Don't think they were loving the 9:15 start time on Saturday night, but that's what it is. So come on by the Queen here and
time
check it out. 9:15 for
PM?
LSU. Yeah,
Friday.
Saturday, yeah. I think they would have preferred an earlier in the daytime, but that's just how
Matched
that.
Up with UCLA again.
They're in the same. They're in the same region. UCLA is the 1 seed.
Who's the 2?
The 2 seed is North Carolina State.
Oh,
who they beat in the Bahamas back in I think it was late November. So they got.
They're good. They beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. No, I think NC State's lost twice since then, since that game in November. So they obviously had a really, really good year from the SEC. Ole Miss is also on that side, who beat LSU in the final game of the SEC regular season. And the other 2 teams, they're playing San Diego State in the first game. The other 2 teams are Florida State and George Mason. LSU baseball sweeps over the weekend. 3 games with Missouri. A lot of things to like in this series. So I'll start with and some things to be keep your eye on. First thing is things that pitchers haven't done before. Starting with Cade Anderson, who pitched into the 7th inning. That's the first time he's gotten that deep into a game this year. He struck out 11 and only walked 2. The hits that he gave up, I never thought that he was in any real trouble in the game. So he has started to stretch out a little bit. Now he gets in the 7th inning. That was very, very good. Zach Cowan, who has been phenomenal out of the bullpen, the Wofford transfer, not only came into the game and finished up on Friday night, but they brought him back for the second time in the weekend. In the 2 appearances, he went 3 2/3 innings and only gave up 1 run. He struck out 7 and only walked 1, and they can use him twice in an inning, twice in a weekend. I thought he was really effective in the game yesterday, despite him coming back on 1 day's rest. Kason Evans did exactly what you want a closer to do on Saturday. He threw the longest outing that he has thrown all season, 44 pitches, 2 1/3 innings. They were in a 1-run game. He struck out 4 and didn't allow a run. That's what you want a closer to do. You got a 1-run lead. I need you to close the door. I need you to do it for more than 1 inning, and he did that. In the 8th, he had the bases loaded with only 1 out, and he was able to get back-to-back strikeouts in a 1-run game. So I thought that was a big-time performance for him. So those were, as far as the pitching things, those were the good parts. The bad parts, neither Anthony Ianson nor Chase Shores got out of the 4th. Both of them went 3 2/3 innings. Shores walked 3 and hit a guy. Ianson gave up 7 hits, so not what you wanted out of those guys. You would have liked to see them stay in the game a little bit longer. Also, wasn't crazy about William Schmidt's outing this weekend. Probably the worst he's pitched this year. Looked to me like he was a little nervous. First SEC game, he faced 6 batters and walked 3 of them. So not wild about that, but I'm not concerned about him. I think there were some nerves there. He looked a little uncomfortable when he came into the game. So Baton Rouge kid, goes out there. He knows what Friday night in the SEC is about. So a little bit of a shaky performance there. Did get a good work out of DJ Premu, who pitched in all 3 games this weekend, and Maverick Rizzi, I thought, also did a nice job this weekend. I'm starting to like some of the little things that I see with this team. I'll just give you a couple of examples. Stephen Milam tagged up at second base and took third on 2 balls Friday night. These were good reads off the bat. These weren't obvious. These weren't, wall-scratching fly balls. You don't always see, heads-up base running like that. Derek Curiel, who is having a phenomenal season, doesn't look anything like a freshman, stands in there and gets hit with an 0-2 pitch. Just baseball awareness. He's not bailing out. He's in an 0-2 hole. He gets hit. Bear Jones, who everybody, this is the guy you're focusing on in the lineup, comes up with the bases loaded on Friday night, and the crowd's buzzing. This is LSU's chance to break the game open. And you just know that Jones wants to hit the ball out of the park. You see guys swing out of their shoes in situations like that. 2 years ago, he probably would have swung out of his shoes. Here, instead, he goes the other way and laces a 2-run single to right field. Things like that. Braswell had 2 bunts on Friday night, one with a safety squeeze, one with a suicide squeeze. He ends up executing both of those things. It wasn't perfect. Milam ran into an out trying to tag up in a similar situation on Sunday. But I'll take the aggressive base running because I think he's going to be right way more than he's wrong. Defensively, they were rock solid most of the weekend. There was one bad throw to the plate from Dickinson, and Brown threw to the wrong base yesterday was it yesterday or Saturday? One of those days. So it wasn't perfect, but, man, it's really, really good. You had a very strong offensive weekend across the board. So, like just about everything that I saw. After 21 games, LSU is 20-1. That's about as good as you can do. You always figure in one loss in the pre-conference just because it's baseball. I don't think they've swept the pre-conference record. They haven't gone into conference with an undefeated record since '97. So you always figure in one. But that's all it was. It was one-run loss. And then Missouri, I'll give you a golf analogy, Jimmy. Missouri's the worst team in the league statistically, and you got them at home. This is a birdie hole. If you win 2 out of 3 in this series, it's like a par. Okay, you're giving up a stroke to the rest of the field because everybody else, expects to birdie.
It's the easiest conference series.
It's the easiest
conference
all
season. Huh?
Yes. So of the 21 games that you have played, you got 35 to go. 27 of those 35 games are SEC teams, and they will be better than everybody you have played so far, save maybe Dallas Baptist. So you have done everything you were supposed to do. Your record is where it's supposed to be. Your roles are where they're supposed to be. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They do the little things well. I like everything about this team. Schedule is about to ramp up, and starting with a trip to Texas this weekend. So,
where's
very good
Texas
weekend.
ranked?
So, gosh, I got to check today's. They're in the teens, I believe. Hang on a second, I'll tell you. But they're very, very good. Very, very good. I don't have the new rankings right in front of me. Hang on just a second now. I'll get them for you. They are ranked actually number 7. So
you think
in the new rankings.
Speaking of LSU baseball, and see who's throwing top left.
Is Skeens? Mm-hmm. Is he going in spring training?
It's on MLB Network too, live.
Texas moved up to number 7 after sweeping Mississippi State this weekend.
Okay, swept State, huh?
Swept State at State.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So got the green hat on, traditional, Pirates uniform everywhere else, but green hat for St. Patrick's Day. Of course, Rory McIlroy already took care of the Irish early this morning, or J.J. Spawn.
It's kind of over from the first hole, right? When from the first drive, really. Rory comes down and just smashes that drive on 16.
Rory teed off first. He hit it in the fairway, and homeboy hit it in the rough.
You think Spawn was thinking about that putt all night that he left short at 18 yesterday?
No, he was thinking about how how he was going to approach this over and over because he had his whole thing. He said he practiced it. We talked about it. Did the little tape measure, what they call it, tracker.
Yeah.
No, he's ready, fully committed to the swing that he hit on the 17 into the water on the fly. By the way, I mean it wasn't clipped. About he missed the green. He missed dry landing by about 15 feet. It wasn't close.
I saw the interview afterwards. He was expecting the wind.
Yes,
he didn't get it.
Yes. So now he didn't hit one good shot.
No. No.
This is Rory birdies the par 5, and it was
He is in
over.
form for Augusta, man. He's won twice.
Golly, huh? Is he threatening to be the favorite over Scheffler?
I think so.
But Scheffler's won at Augusta already, so
twice
recently, yeah. So he's still going to be, but maybe another tournament. I mean, he's the number one. Is he the number one player? Is he taking over the ranking? I know it's not even close as far as the FedEx points and all that stuff as for this year.
Right now at Bet Rivers, Scheffler's plus 450 at Augusta, and McIlroy is the second choice at plus 700. So
that's heightened a lot.
Yeah, and you got a lot of.
But that's a course. That's a course for Scheffler.
Yeah. Well, and of course, McIlroy's got to every year for 10 or 11 years now. This is the career Grand Slam if Rory wins it. So all of that. As if there can be any more pressure on you than, trying to win your first green jacket, but to complete the career Grand Slam. It's not that he hasn't dealt with it before, but he's playing pretty well right now. So we'll see if he can pull it off. 6 guys win the career Grand Slam. It ain't easy.
Strikeout, single, strikeout for Skeens so far. 2 outs, 1 on in the top of the first against the top of the lineup for the Minnesota Twins.
He's supposedly working on some new stuff this spring.
He's already developed it.
Yeah,
I mean he's got a 2-seam fastball and
he's got like 9 pitches.
A cutter. He's added a 2-seamer and a cutter this year.
As if he needed any help.
I mean, how many? Yes, how many? Going to have a deck of cards out there for him? I mean,
look, he could go out there with the fastball and the slinker and probably do just fine.
So, Smitty, are they bringing him along the right way?
Yeah,
I mean, just let's get it over with. Bring the baby bring the infant to the nursery, to daycare, so when he gets sick, get on, build him up, get him going.
Yeah. He started.
What was the score when they brought him in?
The score when they brought him in the, let's see, it was the 5th inning. So the score at that point was 6-4 LSU.
Okay. Competitive game.
Yeah. And like I said, I thought he looked a little bit nervous. The velocity was there, the stuff was there, the command. He was up. He was leaving stuff up. I thought. I think he pitched
might have been overthrown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he was amped up. The emotions got to him a little bit, and he was a little bit wild. I love everything I've seen about the kid. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a weekend starter. By the time they get to May, we'll see. I'm more concerned about Shores. He has not been as sharp as I had hoped through 5 starts now, and this was the shakiest one. The velocity's still there, but the command hasn't been. He's walking too many guys, and I know he's still coming off. He hadn't pitched in almost 2 years, but I had hoped he'd be a little bit further along right now, because when he's right, he can be the most talented guy on the field. Got some work to do, but I like what I've seen mostly.
Heats up, ramps up.
Yeah. Price of poker is going up. You got Texas,
Tennessee number 1. They sweep Florida.
They sweep Florida, and they're still undefeated. They didn't lose a game in the pre-conference. Texas is. I'm looking at a different poll now. They're number 5 in one. They're 7 in another one. This league, you got 10 teams ranked out of 16. So not quite the basketball, but close.
Texas going to be better than Texas A&M?
Oh, A&M's been awful.
Schlossnagle?
Yeah, they miss him. They miss something, because they are now they're 10-9 They're 10-9 on the season, and not happy with the not happy with the new coach, and they get swept this weekend by Alabama. All 3 games were competitive, but they lost all 3 of them. In fact, they lost a 9th inning lead on Friday and I believe Saturday. Or was it Friday and Sunday? It's running together on me. They lost the game in extra innings on Friday night. So you get swept. You get swept at home to open the conference season. No, they're not terribly happy over there. Texas has been way better in the pre-conference.
Schemes in this inning, interesting. Strikeout, single, strikeout, single, strikeout.
Okay.
It's a few pitches. No pitches. No pitch limitation this year. No pitch restrictions this year. So is that crazy? Like $2 to win a Cy Young? I mean, golly, what is that?
We ain't getting the price we got on him last year. We ain't getting the price on Jaden Daniels next year.
What is this, like Bob Gibson era?
Those LSU rookies, man. We're not. You'll never see those prices anytime.
Now, Dylan Cruz,
again.
second choice or first choice to win NL Rookie of the Year?
He's second choice behind the guy from Japan. The Dodgers signed.
Yeah.
Who's not really a traditional age rookie. I think he's 25 or 26.
He's eligible.
Something. Yeah, he is. Hideo Nomo won the Rookie of the Year when he was like 28, I believe.
Fernando. I don't want to know.
God rest his soul. We don't know how old he was in 1980, 1981.
Yeah. So, anyway, we what Thursday, Friday, Saturday series or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They doing more Thursday games this week?
Same amount.
A couple.
Yeah. Same amount
for TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. When they the following week, when Mississippi State comes here, they will play on Thursday, and that is one of two series at the box that will start on Thursday.
Speaking of baseball, don't forget our friends over at Total Diamond Performance. Total Diamond Performance located at Burbank and Gardere. Matt Mastretta, with all of his experience working with major league clubs and also some college baseball coming in and doing it. But how about hitting in bat speed classes? Classes are designed to increase rotational power and core strength while also refining swing mechanics, improved adjustability of the swing, and understanding hitting approach as well. Defensive classes, position-specific progressive framework, implementing glove work, throwing, agility, quickness, and pre-pitch process. It'll help bring your defense to the next level. Pitching class, that's right, by Jacob Doyle. And all of these classes ages 7 to 13, 7 all the way up to high school level, a lot of these. So, again, Total Dominant Performance, best way to get contact is contact Jacob at tdpbaseball.com. That's Jacob at tdpbaseball.com for the pitching, and then for the hitting and defense, Nick Schneider, Nick at tdpbaseball.com. Total Diamond Performance there. New facility at Burbank and Gardere.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here at the Queen, getting ready for the NCAA tournament. And, Jimmy, I want to give away some free play.
I want to give away some promo chips, yes, indeed. So if you make a $25 parlay, it has to pay even money. You get entries in for our drawings. And we're doing drawings on halftime and at the end of the game for the national championship game. 10 winners for $100 in promo chips, 10 at halftime, $10 in $200 promo chips at the end of the game. So it's the parlay madness over here at the Queen Casino and at our sports book. Again, $25 parlay, as long as it pays even money. There you go. You get. We'll throw your name into for the drawing, and we'll draw halftime at the end of the game for the national championship game in a few Mondays.
Tell you who ain't
3
playing.
weeks, huh?
Yeah, 3 weeks. Tell you who ain't playing for free, and that is T. Higgins. We gave you the story right at the top of the hour, but we didn't have enough time to get into it. Then, Jimmy, this was obviously Joe Burrow's doing. He has been beating his drum since I think November that he wanted T. Higgins under contract. Most of the most of the league thought that the Bengals would let T. Higgins walk because they couldn't afford to pay him, Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals last week told Trey Hendrickson that he was free to seek out a trade, and they paid Jamar Chase this weekend over $40 million a year. They came in and gave Higgins a deal for $116. Would you have done this?
Hell no.
The Bengals.
I think GM Joe's making a mistake, man. The
Bengals were the 8th worst defense in both yards allowed and points allowed last year, and only 3 quarterbacks were sacked more than Burrow last year. We know the beating that Caleb Williams took in Chicago. C.J. Stroud and Geno Smith were also sacked a couple more times than him, but he was 4th in the league in sacks.
Caleb Williams holds the ball a little bit longer than Joe.
He does. But point being, look, I like T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is worth this money, but there were other places to put your money. I mean, if Hendrickson does get this trade done, they're going to miss him. There's places on the offensive line that they could put some of this money. It's not that Higgins isn't worth that deal. I think he is. I think he's the number 1 receiver on a lot of other teams. But is this where you – I would say T. Higgins, without putting a pencil to it, half might be a little strong. But
would he be number 1 over Olave with the Saints?
Yeah, because he can stay on the – well, he's had some injury problems. I say he can stay on the field. I think he's a little bit better receiver than Chris Olave, yeah. He wouldn't be number 1 in Minnesota. He wouldn't be – I'm trying
Not
to –
number 1 in Cincinnati.
He wouldn't be number 1 in Dallas, He wouldn't be number 1 in Detroit. But there's a lot of places that he would be.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Green Bay?
Yeah, absolutely, in Green Bay. New England was where he was rumored to be going if he'd have been a free agent.
Jets, put him ahead of Wilson?
No, I like Wilson a little bit better. Number 1 in Pittsburgh.
Bills? Tight end was the number 1.
Yeah, he's better than Khalil Shakur.
Say half, roughly, give or take.
Somewhere between a third and a half.
But this is, you were really good on offense this past year. Didn't get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And
you're gonna make sure you're really good on and then your defense and your protection, and you send it off your best defensive player.
Yeah,
this is a mistake. It's just, and I mean, this is on Burrow too.
Joe runs the show. Joe runs the show.
GM Joe.
When he told them to take Chase instead of Sewell, they did. Again, I love Chase.
That's why you have a GM normally. But this is a weak organization.
Right. I don't have any problem. Sewell's been a great player. Chase has been a great player. But so I'm fine with that. I can make my peace with that. And if you've got to sacrifice something else to keep Chase on the team, yeah, Chase is a top 2 or 3 receiver in the league right now. He may be the best.
And
he had the best year last year. He won the Triple Crown. Even over the course of 4 years, he's 1 or 2. I'm going to keep that guy around.
And I think they let their best coach go on staff, Anarumo.
Yeah,
I thought he was the best they had. Man, he took some he made some playoff runs with some real. Not exactly a loaded gun, man. A loaded roster on defense.
They have to draft really well. They got to hit on some guys to put on the defensive side of the ball or another offensive lineman because they are they have.
So it'd be same old for them. No room for error for Burrow in the offense, and that's
You better hit on them draft picks. You better find.
This is the right thing.
No, I wouldn't have kept Higgins. I would have kept Chase, and I would have kept Hendrickson, and I would have let Higgins. Higgins is a luxury, okay? He's a number 2 receiver there where he'd be a number 1 somewhere else, and I would have taken that money and I would have put it either into my defense or into my offensive line.
And if Burrow is good enough, which he is, I mean, you don't need a Higgins too. Come on, man.
Correct.
You could put some role guys in there, and you can read defenses and put them in. You work with. Come on, man. I mean, this is foolish.
I think Higgins is a number 1 receiver other places, but I'm not discounting the fact that when Jamar Chase is lined up on the other side of the field, he's going to draw the top cover guy and the most attention. So you're in a pretty good spot there. on the other side of him, and there's a lot of other guys that could be productive there.
It's when they're both out there, and that's why. I mean, you saw when Chase's numbers go up when he and Higgins are on the field together. I mean, for obvious reasons. Pick your poison. What do you want to do? I mean, if you're gonna double Chase, man, we're gonna pick on we're going to Higgins all day, and he's gonna get. And also remember at the end of last year, the previous year, 23. Remember when Higgins had the great game with the backup quarterback? Remember that Saturday game against Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what that's when those guys were out. So, I think that's fair. I think that's accurate. Give or take, he's there on board. Yeah, it's a luxury. Yes, and it's too. You had an NFL. I'm sorry, an MVP season at quarterback.
Yes, if they would have had a winning record.
Really, your passing game, needs to be salvaged. It's just, bro, you didn't make the playoffs. Why? Because there's huge deficiencies elsewhere. And just blow it off.
On your,
I don't get it.
On your defense, on your defense for sure.
Well,
you got a
Burrow talked about it publicly. Burrow gets his way, but Burrow, a stronger organization. You're the quarterback, and the GM does this. This was goofy. All the public stuff. I mean, he kind of shows up your front office. I mean, we love Burrow. Can't do any wrong.
Right.
This is wrong.
I think it's a mistake, and even if Higgins has a big year next year,
they're going to. Great.
Are you going to make the playoffs? Are you going to have enough on the defensive side to offset? I don't know. It's not what I would. It's not where I would have put that part of my money. I would have put that somewhere else. So, but we'll see. He's got all his guys now. So. got everything he asked for Christmas. Let's see if it works.
Oh man, I don't know. Total Maintenance. Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance. The weather is ideal right now. We're just running the air conditions lightly right now, but before we start stressing them, it's just around the corner. Now's the time to get that one-time AC check. One-time AC check, it's normally $179. We're doing it for just $79. Just mention me or Charlie again and call Total Maintenance 480-1000, 480-1000. One of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. AC heating, generator installations, maintenance, you name it. Service today, every day means same-day service. You'll never sleep hot. Call today. Get service today. But again, right now, it's going to lower your monthly bills, going to identify if a part is failing so it doesn't break down when we stress your unit more, and going to be a more costly repair. Extend the lifetime of your unit. Avoid a more costly, less convenient time for your unit to go down. Total Maintenance. 480-1000. It's just $79. Normally $179 if you mention 104.5 ESPN Radio. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at the Queen, live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Queen, live at lunch. You get it filling out your brackets, and you think you got a pretty good handle on the Final Four. Here's some of the higher seeds that you're getting decent odds on to make the Final Four. Tell me if you like any of these, Jimmy. Wisconsin, despite being the 3 seed in the East region, is plus 1,000 to make the Final Four. That's in a region with Duke, Alabama, and Arizona. Kentucky, despite being a 3 seed, is plus 900 to make it out of the Midwest, where Houston's the number 1 seed.
See what happened? You see what?
I did. I'm just giving you seedings in.
Charlie, the thing I know, but you're talking about the odds. SEC. It was. You ever see the seeds just hold up like this? Basically, like the teams that got the double buys, the top 4, all of them won.
Yeah,
and they weren't that close. The teams before that got the bye. I mean, those weren't that close. I mean, it was like stepping up. There was just a separation that was created, and I saw a big Butler's shoulder's hurt now. Well, it's hurt for like the fourth time this season. It's going to be hurt.
Right.
And so, I mean, my God, they got 29. Alabama beat them, and they lost by 20. So it's 50-something points difference. Connect the dots at Florida and Kentucky.
The chalk held not just in the SEC.
Tennessee and Auburn, That's it.
The chalk held in the ACC, even without Cooper Flagg. Duke still won it. The chalk held in the Big 12. Houston, even though they had a number 1 seed locked up going into it, they won the tournament. In fact, I think they won all 3 games by double digits in the Big 12 tournament. Yeah,
the final one by 8.
They won by 8. Okay.
Yeah, the last 2 free throws, they put it from 6 to 8.
Okay.
The line was 6.5.
Okay, so the chalk didn't. Michigan State didn't win the Big 10 tournament, but the other 3 tournaments the chalk held like.
But it's funny. Okay, the final scores fine. That's right. All right, but these games were unreal. Where they're like Creighton's got the lead, kind of a little bit into the second half. Not only just St. John's, and look here, this was the original reason why you middle/hedge, protect the original bet. Not only does St. John's come back right through the middle, but they cover the spread going away. Same thing. Cal Irvine and UC San Diego in the final Saturday night. Irvine's got the lead. A little bit into the second half. Here comes UCSD right by and blows it, and they cover going away. Houston was down to Arizona in the second half. They come back. Not only do they, win the game, but they went controversial call. By the way, the last call is kind of they don't really make this. It was kind of like a reach around. They were just dribbling it out, and Arizona wasn't fouling, but they called it, put them at the line, and there was another one in there as well. So these teams that had leads that they just, boom. Alabama was tied at half to Florida.
If not, it was real close.
It was real close.
Yeah.
Now, Nelson didn't play the second half. That's part of the story. Florida's better. Remember when they beat them in Alabama, Charlie? And I'm like, they could play this 10 times, and I'm going to take a Florida 9 out of 10. They're just, they're real complete. And when you got their attention, minus the South Carolina, the Georgia game, and the other one that I'm forgetting in there, when they're ready to play, man, and it just
the Tennessee game.
Keep in mind, you Ziegler in that game.
Right, it was a real low-scoring game. It was like 64-44, I think, was the final.
Both they traded, blowing each other out on each other's place, and the team that lost didn't score 50.
Right.
Tennessee didn't score. They had in the 40s in Gainesville, and Florida was in the 40s. You think Florida's going to score 40 again? Shoot. How much did they score on them yesterday? 84?
Yeah. They're not. They may not hold them under 44 and a half.
Tennessee played fine. Tennessee played kind of as good as they can play.
They did. They were competitive. They were in the game, and Florida was, like I said, Florida was just better. Any of these other lower seeds that are getting inflated numbers, Purdue is a 4 seed.
No.
They are the 7th choice in the Midwest region.
I don't want any part of Purdue.
No part of Purdue. You're getting a little bit better number on St. John's and Texas Tech. Johnnies are plus 600 to win the West region, which I think is the toughest of the 4 regions. I don't know how you feel about that.
Was it last year was 1 versus 2 Purdue and Tennessee in their regional?
Yeah.
That's right. I remember an old one, Mateen Cleaves and them, it was Michigan State and in Iowa State with Marcus Fizer, Tim Floyd.
2000.
Or maybe that might have been Eustace. I think that was Eustace. He went nuts. I think he got thrown out at the end of the game.
Because Floyd was coaching the Bulls by that time.
Yeah. So, was it? Did we have a Michigan? Well, we had Michigan State Duke. But it was Zion. It was 1 versus 2. Yeah. LSU was in that regional. Right. We got beat bad in the Sweet 16. But 1 versus 2 came down. It was actually Michigan State won. This seems like one of those brackets. How am I going to pick against this St. John's team? And when they try and beat you, Charlotte, they finish you off. They don't coast and win by 8 to 10. They're trying to beat you by 25 every time.
That's why I think that this region, Florida's playing the best, okay, and they're the 1 seed. St. John's, we both think is the best number 2 seed in the tournament, right?
Yes.
Okay. Texas Tech has enough to get to the Final Four. They're the 3 seed there. That's pretty strong. And then if you go a little bit further down, you got Kansas as a 7 seed. I know they've had a lousy year, but could they catch fire? UConn, 2-time defending national champion, is the 8 seed there. I realize that they haven't had anything close to what they've had the last 2 years, but they still got Hurley on the sideline. They're still dangerous. That Maryland team that I don't want to say should have won the game yesterday, but certainly could have won
Saturday.
Saturday. The Big Ten championship. They're the 4 seed. Penny Hardaway and those guys are the 5 seed. Missouri's the 6. That to me is the toughest bracket to try to navigate.
Memphis is banged up.
Memphis is banged up, and that's why they're the only higher seed that's an underdog in the first round. But those other teams, man, you got Kansas and UConn at 7 and 8.
So Duke and St. John's, similar situations in that, I mean, completely different rosters. You know, one's with got a lot of young pros on it. St. John's is, you know, kind of rugged. Number one, the best defensive efficiency team that is getting better on offense and not quite going through those scoring droughts that they were susceptible to mid-season. And they just have. But is the Big East, you watch Marquette. I mean, they're not Marquette. We've seen better Marquette teams recently. No. We've seen better Creighton teams recently.
Creighton's better stumble around with DePaul the other night.
Certainly the UConn team. You know, I mean, this is kind of a watered-down Big East. Certainly a drenched ACC. This is a bad ACC. And so they're beating teams to death, but how can they beat the quality teams? So they're kind of in the same boat. But I just don't see a bunch of shots. I'm going to be real boring with this thing. I see a lot of chalk, the elite chalk. I just watched the best league play. And I watched 1 through 4 shred basically 5 through 8 in the toughest league in the country. Shred them. Yeah. And I just, it's a hard, Kentucky ain't there. It's his first round. Doing good. Should they not? I don't know if they should be a 3 seed. Pope, we can't ask anything more of Pope in year 1. He'll have a better roster next year. They'll be more complete. He's got to have a little bit more of an emphasis. But like BYU was the hottest team in the country, right? All right. Man, they got killed by Houston. You know, so this was 2 years in a row that they went to in the tournament and played Houston. So I just don't see, and Houston I thought was the most susceptible number 1, and I don't see where, I mean, Kentucky's at 3, Tennessee's at 2. I don't know.
You know who the most dangerous team in that bracket might be outside of Houston is Illinois. When they're right, now they're not right all the time, but when they're right, they're dangerous.
Illinois, Kansas have shown me enough. Kansas,
they're both talented but underachieving.
I'm just wondering, man, they're ready to get the season over with. It's part of it, man. I hear all that talent. When I see Illinois play, they're capable of going to Michigan and beating them by 20. We saw that late in the season. But
they're also capable of losing by 30 to Duke.
Yes, and they're going to play a team coming off the play-in? I don't want any part of Illinois. I don't want any. I'm usually one, Charlie.
I don't want to play them either because I don't know which Illinois I'm going to get. You know, am I going to get the good Illinois or the bad Illinois?
And then I hate put Maryland somebody else's regional and give me a chance. That's a team that I've seen they can make a run. They're 5. They total breakdown on the play yesterday. If not, they probably win the Big Ten, and where would they be? But get them out of Florida and St. John's regional. Put them in Houston's regional, and I'm on Illinois. But so the few teams that I do like that maybe are capable of run are in the wrong bracket.
Yeah.
Michigan can't make a run. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have won the other day. So.
What about BYU?
No. Told you.
No.
Saw them play Houston. No.
Okay.
Once they get to the elite level, man, they got slapped down. It never close.
Because the East region, Alabama finished shaky, Arizona finished shaky, Wisconsin made a good run in the Big Ten tournament, but they had a shaky end of the regular season. They lost 3 out of their last 5. Now, Duke did just win the ACC tournament. Is Flagg going to be compromised in this tournament? We don't know. I think the East region is
going to be fine. You got it. They took the precautions, Charlie.
They took him out. I mean, maybe he will be. I don't know.
I mean,
to me, that's the one bracket where the top I at least have some question marks about.
Wisconsin is a damn good team.
They're solid.
They're more than
they've been much better in the tournament than they played the last 2 weeks of the regular season. They lost either 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 going in that tournament, and then they lost to Michigan in the tournament. But at the end of the regular season, they weren't playing all that well. And Alabama's I think it's still a very good team, obviously, but just a little bit shaky. Arizona, I think, lost 3 out of their last 5 as well in the regular season. So the East, at least I have some question marks up at the top.
Wisconsin plays Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and where they ship them to? In the mountains.
Where are they?
Denver.
Denver.
To play where?
Altitude?
Montana.
Okay.
I mean, what kind of booby trap y'all trying to throw us on this 314? Huh? I like Wisconsin's team. I think of the ones you kind of ripped off, I think they're capable, and that's Wisconsin could beat Alabama.
10-1.
100%. Yeah,
10-1 to make the Final Four.
And I'm not, I'm just not. I'm not there in Duke's regional. They wouldn't see him till the Elite Eight. Certainly hedged by that point, but that might be one that's.
Like I said, I got a few questions up at the top of that one. Today's show brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike. So Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you as well as your legal team, your business partners. Make sure all of your goals are achieved. Doesn't matter what age you are, where your financial situation is in life. Coastal Capital Advisors will develop a plan that works for you for a lifetime. I know because that's what they've done for me. For more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376. Online, it's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Back to wrap up the show here, live at the Queen, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Queen Casino on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Derek Curiel, freshman of the week in the Southeastern Conference. He spent the week on base, spent the whole season on base. Hit .571 for the week, 2 doubles, a triple, 4 runs batted in, and 6 runs scored. And how about this story, Jimmy? South Alabama last night got a call from the NCAA inviting them to the NIT. This was at about 9:30 last night because UC Riverside was locked into the CBI. They said, you guys are in, 100%. NCAA called them back about an hour later, said, sorry, we don't have a spot for you.
Psych.
UC Riverside. Richie Riley, who's the head coach, had already gone and told the team. They were kind of pumped up. They got in the postseason play. We may have a candidate for no class tomorrow. We're sorry.
And then the selection committee, look, there's always going to be some that left. It's not so much on the teams. I could see that. Carolina did have an NET in the high 30s. That usually gets you in. But 1-12 quad one, that is grossly bad. But you got nothing. Clearly, with losing 3 or 4, and they're still the number 1 overall seed, you cannot send them to an arena, an in-state arena for their opponent. I mean, they could play Louisville in the second round, and Louisville's going to play in Rupp Arena. I mean, it's not their home court. That's stopped, okay? But I mean, we have to put the lower seeds cannot be in their home state. I mean, that's they've done this before, and that's your number 1 overall seed. That isn't like a 4 or 5 where we saw Mississippi State as a 4, had to go play Texas in Dallas as a 5. No excuse.
Come on in here to the Queen and enjoy the tournament. Lots of chances for you to win free play through your play here in the NCAA tournament.
$25 parlay. You good.
They'll be drawn on championship night. For Jimmy Ott, Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon from the Queen. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.